Hi there, it's Anne from Room Junkie, and you know, I am so sorry. It's ages and ages since I've done a Facebook Live recording or video, but listen, I'm back, and the topic for today's talk is called Raise the Roof, and Facebook is telling me that we're live. That's great. So I'm hoping that there are people out there that you're listening, that you're hearing me, that you're seeing me, and if you do, put a little hello into the comment box so that I can actually see that you're there and I'll say hello back. So today's video is a lovely lady from Cork got in touch with me about 2 weeks ago because she's renovating an old house, in particular her kitchen, and her ceilings were very low. And she wondered what she should do, and she had questions for me. And then somebody else came and asked me a similar question. And then last Saturday I was out in a gorgeous waterfront house in Donegal, beautiful old house, but again challenging low ceilings. And this made me realise that loads and loads of people live in a house with low ceilings. And hi Helena, how are you? It's lovely to see you again. I grew up in an old house over in West Donegal. It was a modest enough house, but it did have lovely high ceilings. And our first house in Dublin was an old house with high ceilings, and obviously when we built our home here, we were able to indulge and have high ceilings, because a high ceiling gives a lovely sense of perspective and grandeur and elegance, and I love them. But if you don't have them, so what? You can still have a fabulous house and have a low ceiling. But there are loads and loads of ways that you can actually visually trick your eye into thinking that your ceiling is higher than it actually is. And hi Helena, a few weeks ago I think I posted a little tip on Facebook with probably the easiest way of visually raising a ceiling, and that is to use a vertically striped wallpaper. And what this does is it tricks the eye into giving a much higher sense of ceiling and wall. And it really, really works. And this doesn't have the image that I posted on my Facebook page, was quite a vibrant, colourful striped paper, but you don't have to have that. You can have the most subtle paper if that's what you want. But just because the stripes are linear and they're going up and down, it really does trick the eye into thinking that your ceiling's at least a foot higher than it actually is. And in a hall, you could probably paper all of your walls. But in a living room, I would tend to or even in a bedroom, tend to pick out the focal wall, which in your living room is going to be probably the wall with your fireplace, and in your bedroom, the wall with your bed, and just paper that wall. And that has the effect of just lifting your eye up and making that ceiling seem much higher. So it doesn't have to be every wall, but pick your focal wall, the wall that you're looking at the most. And that is my number one. I think I've got 11 tips to tell you, or little tricks to help you raise your roof and raise your ceilings and give a perspective of a much higher ceiling. Now, the second thing that I'm going to say that you should do is, and this is quite logical and commonsensical really, but it's to, when you're buying your furniture, go for low horizontal furniture. That means if you're picking chairs and sofas, go with one that doesn't have a high back, because then obviously you have this illusion of having quite a bit of wall expanse behind your sofa, which is great. And again, the ceiling seems higher and the wall seems much taller. So, and you know what? Comfort is so important when you're buying your sofa. So don't buy a low sofa just because it's going to look good in your room. For God's sake, have a sofa that's comfortable as well, you know, and that supports your back, but that just has a lower back so that you have more wall visible, and it just pops that ceiling up quite a bit higher. Third thing is your lighting. If you've got a big clunky deep light hanging from a long chain in a low ceilinged room, it's going to look out of place, it's going to look out of proportion, and if somebody's walking under it, they're going to bang their head against it. Now, one little trick that I'll give you to get around this problem is if you really want to have a hanging pendant light, you can put a coffee table underneath it, and at least then nobody is going to bump their head into it, but you'll still get that lovely visual look of the pendant light if that's what you want. However, I would suggest that you choose lights that are quite flush with the ceiling, that don't intrude too much into the the wall space or the room space. I don't know if you remember when I did the RTE show house in Dromahair, I certainly didn't have a high ceiling in that house, and that's exactly what I did in the living room. I found a lovely light that spanned outwards, not downwards, and that helped. And obviously recessed downlighters, spotlights, you know, in a room with a low ceiling would be a good choice as well. Okay. Another way that you can actually visually make that ceiling seem higher, and this is one that you mightn't necessarily think of, is in your window treatment. In a low ceiling room, I would nearly always hang curtains. I would hang full length curtains to the floor, and I would hang them from a pole as high up from the window as I can. I actually did a lovely apartment in Ballsbridge last year, and that's exactly what I did. And what it did immediately, the ceilings weren't high, they were about 8-foot ceilings, but it gave this lovely sense of elegance because these curtains looked so long and so tall. And a little trick is if you pick a patterned fabric. Now it doesn't have to be a stripe, although a stripe obviously will do the up and down, have the up and down effect. But if you've got a pattern that has florals or abstracts, but if they're in a linear pattern and the pattern's going up and down, again, this takes your eye up and down, draws the eye up, and makes you think that this ceiling is much higher than it is. Another thing I do with curtains is to have a contrasting band at the top of the curtain so that your eye is drawn up to this colour, and again it makes you think and tricks the eye into thinking that you've got a much higher ceiling and a much taller wall than you actually do. What else have I got on my list? Okay, if you like coving, and I love coving, but if you've got gosh, I'm being a bit tongue-tied. Has it been that long since I've done a Facebook Live that I'm out of practice completely? I love coving, but if you don't have a high ceiling, you can't have a deep coving. You can have a narrow one. Keep the style simple, but narrow coving or no coving is the way you want to go. The other thing I would tell you to do is to paint your ceiling white, and I would tell you to paint it in a white matte paint. You will find if you go trawling online that some people suggest painting your ceiling in a white gloss paint because it reflects the light. Well, I personally would never tell you to do that. I think a white, shiny, glossy ceiling would look tacky in absolutely every room, and I would not be telling you to do that. And as well as that, gloss paint is not forgiving. If you don't have a perfect ceiling, a matte paint will actually cover every little bump and lump and imperfection that you have, so it's definitely the right thing to do. Also, if you've got a timber ceiling, if you've got a pine ceiling or a dark timber ceiling, I would without a doubt paint that timber in a white satin wood. Nice flat satin finish, and immediately once that dark timber is painted, it has this effect of just pushing that roof right up, and it's almost overwhelming the difference that can actually make, because a dark ceiling will pull down your room and make things seem much lower. Same if you've got beams in if it's a country style rustic house, and you've got beams, painting them darker, which they traditionally would be painted, just takes that ceiling down. So actually lightening the beams and bleaching them and painting them a lighter colour does the opposite effect and pushes the ceiling right up. Another little trick that I would use too is to hang your artwork vertically. So you've got a picture, or four, or whatever you want to use, however many you have. But the secret is don't have them grouped horizontally, have them coming vertically. And again, this just pulls your eye upwards and makes the ceiling seem higher. Another thing that you can do is if you've got, say you've got alcoves either side of a fireplace, if you have shelving, vertical shelving again, but take it all the way up to the ceiling, again, it has the same effect. It's miraculous actually, and it just draws your eye up and makes things seem higher. And they're all little tricks or tips, but believe me, if you do them, and if you do a few of them in the same room, I guarantee that you get a totally different feel from that room. The ceiling will not come down on top of you. You are lifting it up with every single thing that you do. Another thing that I've done, particularly in hallways, is to have timber paneling, but to have vertical timber paneling. So instead of having the panels horizontally, they're vertically. And again, it's just a trick. It fools your eye into thinking that your wall is taller than it is and that your ceiling is further away. And the last thing I would do to push up my ceilings, and you anybody who knows me knows that I love using mirrors because they bounce light around a room, they open up a space. They are absolutely miracle fixers for most interior design dilemmas or challenges. So if you've got mirrors, particularly tall, long, vertical mirrors, again, it'll have the same effect, and it'll push that ceiling right up to the top so that you have this lovely sense of space and light and high ceilingness that you wouldn't have, that you didn't have, and you don't have, but you give the illusion that you have. So that there are my 11 little tips. I will write a blog post and put them in it. Now I had some questions, and you know what? I'll have to remember them. I did have them written down because 2 people sent me questions, and I don't see any coming up live. But listen, this video, Facebook, thank you, will record it and keep it up for prosperity. It's, you know, it's going to be here forever, and you'll find it on my page. First question that I was asked was, it was a lady in Cork who was, she bought an old house, a farmhouse, and the ceilings were low, and she wondered if she should use a picture rail. No picture rail. Picture rails were historically used in period properties that had extremely high ceilings, and the reason that they were introduced was to actually, who would want to take a high ceiling down, but that is the reason. It was so to create this visual impact of a lower ceiling. So don't hang a picture rail, and don't hang a dado rail. Dado rail will cut your room in half, and if you've got one and you've got a low ceiling, take it off, rip it off, touch it up and paint that wall, and you know, that just cuts your wall in half, and it's not the thing to do. I'm trying to remember the other question. I think it was a lady, again, she sent me photographs of her kitchen on Facebook, low ceilings, lovely room, rustic property, loads of charm, and she wondered if she should paint her walls and ceiling in the same colour. Now, I remember that she was using one of the Farrow and Ball greys. I can't remember if it was a darker one. It might have been Elephant's Breath. Hi Colette, how are you? Oh gosh, are you in Spain and watching me all the way from Spain? Well, how are you? Anyway, I think it was Elephant's Breath, deep enough colour, but no, do not do that. Paint your ceiling a plain white, and by doing that, you know, again, it's what I've been saying, it pushes it up. Don't do it all the same colour, that will just drag everything down. Have the contrast of the white, and you'll have a cleaner contrast with your wall colour, and your ceiling will seem so much higher. Now, I'm going to hang on to see if there are any more questions, and please do, you know, anything you want to ask me, I am more than happy to answer you. And if I don't have the answer, I'll find it for you. So while I'm waiting, I'm going to tell you about what I'm up to next Saturday, because I'm getting so excited about this. Listen, I've put together a masterclass where I literally share everything that I know, all of my tips and tricks and techniques and methods, some that I've learned, some that are mine and mine alone. And my first masterclass is next Saturday in Letterkenny, and there's a lot of people coming, and it's gearing up to be a spectacular day. It's going to be a high energy day. I'm going to be in high energy. I have changed the format of the class quite a bit. It's not as theoretical as it has been in the past. It's going to be really hands-on and practical, and there's going to be a buzz. Your head will buzz, for the day. I'm going to brainstorm you and fill you with everything that I know, so that I'm just going to open up my laptop here, because I had a few notes about what I was going to cover in the class. So literally, if you're somebody who struggles with picking the correct paint colours and ends up with loads of paint colours and swatches on the walls, well, after Saturday, that won't be you anymore. If you struggle with getting the flow right in your house, or if you don't really know what your style is and you can't carry a style throughout the entire house, again, by the end of Saturday's session, that will have changed for you as well. I am totally passionate about the impact that lighting and layout have on your home. And again, this I will cover in depth. I also believe that you can stage your home professionally and give it the edge, and it's not too easy. It's not too difficult to do that. It's actually quite easy once you know how. And again, that's something that I'll be covering as well. Now, there's loads more besides. I've put together, because people are struggling so much with picking the right greys. Greys are really, really tricky to get right, and I know that many of you are struggling big time, so I'm going to spend a bit of time on that, and I'm also going to, I've put together my list of the greys that I use, where I use them, which colours and which manufacturers' greys work better in different settings, so I'll be sharing all of that with you. But this doesn't end. This is a journey that starts next Saturday. We will have our masterclass, but it's only the beginning, because after the masterclass you will get all of your notes and videos, you get my ebook, you get the grey spec where I demystify it all for you, but even more importantly, you get to join the Room Junkie private Facebook group. And this is a very special place where you will always have me. So, you know, we've all done classes and we've been so enthusiastic and gung-ho, and a day later or a week later, we're struggling again and we're not quite getting it right. So you will always have access to me. So if you've got a question in a day, a week, a month, a year, every day, it doesn't matter. I'm there and I will help you and support you. And there's a lovely bunch of mostly women, I have to say, in that group, and we all help each other, and it's brilliant. We've been quiet over the summer, but I think September is a great time for charging our batteries and getting us going again. So so that's next Saturday. It's going to be in the Radisson Hotel in Letterkenny, and there are 4 places left yet. And look, if it's your thing and if you'd like to come along and be inspired and meet us and learn and brainstorm, well, that's where we'll be. And all of the details, I'll put a link to all the details somewhere under this post. Now, I'm not seeing any other questions at all. Colette Coughlin, would you do a masterclass in or near Dublin? Well, I actually did a great one in the Slorgan Park Hotel. It's not called the Slorgan Park anymore, but that was last year and it was fantastic. So absolutely, I would love any excuse to get back to Dublin. Yes, Colette, I'd be delighted to. Absolutely delighted to. And in fact, if any of you are listening and you're countrywide, and you think that you would like me to give a masterclass near where you are, do let me know. Put in a little note. I'm so looking forward to that conference in October, Colette. It's going to be brilliant, fantastic day. But listen, if you do think of somewhere that might be a suitable venue or where you would like me to come, let me know. And also, if you think of a topic that you're having trouble with in your own house, or just something that you want to know more about regarding interior design or designing your home, put a little message in as well, because I'm guessing what you want to know about. And sometimes I'm inspired by other people coming to me with questions like today and the low ceilings, you know, so my challenges are not your challenges. So for God's sake, if there's something that you'd like me to tell you about or teach you about or help you with a problem, put a little note in. And I'll take your word on board, and whatever you suggest I will do. So look, I am going to go now, and delighted to be back on Facebook Live. You know, I think I got out of the habit of it, and then the fear factor stepped in again. But listen, I'm back and I will try my best, no more than I try my best to do a blog post every single week and a newsletter every week. I will try my best to do a Facebook Live video every week. So until the next time, and the next time might even be after my masterclass, so I'll tell you all about it and how it went, or maybe I'd even do a Facebook Live in the middle of the masterclass, who knows. So until then, stay fabulous, have a fantastic rest of the weekend, and hopefully the storm doesn't come. So goodbye all, and I think I finally remembered how to finish the video and hit that finish button. So until the next time, stay fabulous. Sarah Butterley, hi, how are you? Sarah, you missed the last class in Dublin, so maybe we'll get yourself and Colette talking, and maybe we'll pick a venue and get to meet you all there. Okay, bye.